Welcome back. Thanks so much. Blink, that was a chill song. It was a song by a band name or an artist named Four Hill off a album named Fragments. The song was called Atlas. So I can talk a little bit about that actually. It's funny that you mentioned that because one of the vinyl kind of pertains to that kind of music. So anyway, let's kick it off. I thought I'd kick it off with something that was a little bit off topic. So something I grabbed recently was actually a game that has fond memories with me, especially growing up on the PlayStation 1 and the N64. Zach, thank you so much. Audio sounds good. I appreciate you, my friend. So, a game I picked up recently brought back a lot of memories because I always remember sitting at a good old friend's house where he kind of lived out in the country, and all we would do all day every time I stayed the night there was jump on the trampoline, go swimming, and then all night long we would play games like Godzilla or big monster games. WWE was a big one. We'd create our own wrestlers at the time and just have a blast. But one game that we played endlessly was Rampage World Tour, I think. So, ended up picking a Rampage game up for the PS2, and I'm so excited to play this and share it. I really can't wait to play it with Michelle. I don't think she's really played much of the Rampage games before, but they're just like video game candy is a good way to put it, where it's easy to pick up, it's easy to play, and it's just nonsense destruction, loudness, crazy physics, and just nothing that makes any sense. But it's so much fun because it's so easy to pick up and go. So I had no idea they actually had a PS2 edition of a Rampage. So this is Rampage Total Destruction. So I can't see if you guys can tell, but the game it looks so good. I haven't played it myself just yet. But one thing that really sold me on it is that it actually comes with the other two old Rampages, World Tour, and then the first one, I can't remember what that was. Original Rampage and Rampage World Tour. Okay, so it's just Rampage and then Rampage World Tour. So I was like, this is perfect. I get everything on one disc, plus get the more crisp visualizations of PS2. And so I'm excited to pop this baby in. So that's what that is. All right. Time to get into some of the amazingness that I've dug a big hole of is in my pocket, as well as just space on a shelf, and that is vinyl records. So I've been a huge fan of music all of my life, growing up around it with my dad, classic rock, but obviously my tastes have expanded a lot farther than that, especially including video game music as well as movie music. So I don't think any of the alerts actually went off this time, but I spent a good part of an afternoon updating my alert system for my stream to be Fifth Element themed. So I'll have GIFs and sound bites from the Fifth Element movie. So this movie has a long, significant impact on me because this was like the first movie that my brother and I ever actually bonded over, where it became like our movie. Fifth Element it's kind of a cult classic, but it has Bruce Willis, Mia Djokovic or something, whoever plays in the Resident Evil movies, but she's also the main character in this. But the music strikes such a big nostalgia chord for me, and it's in that kind of sci-fi dystopia future, but is also like corny and fun and just good all around, like good guy versus bad guy saving the world story. So then I found out Mondo did a limited edition pressing of the Fifth Element soundtrack. And you bet my booty was on that day one, and I picked it up. So I didn't get anything that was like particular interesting about it. I just got like a black pressing, and they had some other ones, but for some reason the black one just looked a lot better and sleek for me. You didn't know it came out for the originals? I know. I had no idea, and that's exactly why I picked up Rampage for sure. So here is the Fifth Element soundtrack, and it's just hand-drawn art with the main characters on the front, and then with each four sides of the album itself, they do the 5 elements, and then the track listing there with the Mondoshiwan spaceship blasting off. But it's all hand-drawn graphics in the middle city of New York. So Mondo is also known as a company that does a lot of cool inserts or extras to it. And so they actually had this seam insert, and I made sure to keep absolutely everything. And they had the font of the Fifth Element. I'm like bad at positioning on camera. And then it kind of goes down by who originally scored it, Eric Serra and all that, along with when it was released and all the goods there, if you can see that. And then inside is just a little clip of original motion picture soundtrack with the different musicians that were on, and just another really cool insert. But then when you open it up, there's even more hand-drawn artwork where you can kind of piece it together of different lore of the film. So this is just really cool if you can see this. So you got a Mondoshawan one right over here, just like sitting on a computer, chilling, where it's like that obviously doesn't happen in the film, but it's like these guys are tuning into the vinyl soundtrack and literally just chilling. And so this is like the apartment of Cornelius, Priest Cornelius. So I love this. I spin it all the time, and it's in my constant rotation on my video game kind of chill, nuanced music on my Apple iTunes playlists. So thanks, Blink. I really appreciate it. Yeah, the artwork is amazing, and that's what kind of drew me to it. All right. So I kind of tried to draw from past experiences. So like one movie soundtrack, because I do have plenty others. One movie soundtrack that means the world to me. One game soundtrack that means the world to me. And then 2 picks of my modern day tastes in music. So that was our first movie one. Next up is video game music. Rampage. No, just kidding. I don't even know what the sounds are in Rampage, but that would be kind of funny. All right, next up is... This is by far my prized possession in the entirety of my vinyl collecting. They've only pressed it once, 4 years ago, 2016. And this is a game series that has had a huge impact on me just because of the story base as well as the connection that you get with the characters. And the music can put you in the world in a second. It's nuts. They did such a good job of ambient sounds as well as the intensity based on what level or enemies you're facing. So this was something I just had to pick up, and I didn't pick up. I wasn't in the vinyl collecting business when they first pressed it, but this was a must buy for me. It is none other than the Mass Effect trilogy soundtrack. So this is all of the games 1, 2, and 3 pressed by EA and distributed by them, which is nuts because usually EA is very tight-lipped on their soundtracks, which is why they haven't released it again. But I had to buy this from somebody over in Europe, and the price has only gone up. But this game has had such a big impact on me just because of my mental state when I first discovered it. I was able to just get lost in this world when I wasn't in a good place. And I connected so good with the characters that even today, if I'm not in a good place, Mass Effect is the game for me to go to feel a part of it. So the one bad thing about the shipment was that it didn't ship very well. So unfortunately, kind of like This is also the first game here. So this is the cover art for the first game with a Mako, and then on the back they have the track listing. But unfortunately, a lot of like the care taken to ship vinyls long distance is that you actually take out the vinyl and wrap the vinyl separately, because this can happen. So right there is a seam split on the end. So kind of when it gets jostled around in shipping, the sharp edge of the vinyl can kind of crease it and damage it, which unfortunately that happened. But other than that, everything is in absolutely perfect working condition. Fallout music, absolutely. You have a huge connection to as well. Oh, you should check out a place called Space Labs, Space Lab 9, sorry. But they have pressed the vinyl soundtracks for Fallout 3 and Fallout 4, if you're into that kind of thing. But they're also like super collectibles to like have on the shelf. But the cool thing about this is that each vinyl soundtrack to each game also has its own color. So the first one's just black, so that's not that cool. But then you have Mass Effect 2. I'll show you this one. Cool artwork of just a lineup of the characters. And Mass Effect 2 is by far my favorite one for sure. But if you take it out, you'll see that this is actually pressed on white vinyl. And I think the third one is pressed on red, and then they have a fourth vinyl pressing that is just your extra ambient sounds of the world, like when you're up there at the kiosk to travel to a new planet, and that one is translucent orange. So that's really cool. Let me see if I can get these out. So here's 3, the amazing artwork of the Normandy on the front. And then the last one has... You don't need to be messing with that. And then the last one has artwork of overlooking the Citadel. So absolutely cool, absolutely breathtaking, amazing collection of the original Mass Effects. Overall, still in good condition for me, other than the seam splits, but no skipping. Everything sounds great. So that is definitely my prized possession out of my entire collection. This thing takes the most care out of every time it's moving anywhere. So this baby is top notch. Thank you so much. Yeah, the artwork is amazing. I think it's just blown away, and I love the big Garrus on the front and kind of like the luminescent, different kind of texture on it. It's amazing. Translucent orange? Yeah, I know. Well, okay, I feel like I should show it because that's the coolest one. It is really cool. Okay, give me a second. Let me get out this translucent orange. Okay. So check this puppy out. You can't really see through it right now just based on it. So this is the last in the pressing. So that's kind of like your ambient noises in the world. And so then that's the translucent orange, and that's the really cool one too. And almost like that's the kind of music I feel like you connect with most, right? Like when you're sitting there in a menu, right? That kind of music I feel like brings back all the feels more than sometimes like a boss battle. Oops. Hit the mic, because I feel like in that kind of environment, and especially with a heavy impact game like Mass Effect, that's where you can actually slow down, see what's going on, look at your inventory, look at your journal, and then you're like, okay, so this is where I'm going next, but you notice the music a lot more. So I really do like that kind of extra pressing on the side. Well, thanks, Zach. I appreciate it. When did you get this set? Have you had it for a while or recent pickup? So with that, I think I actually picked it up 2 years ago. It would have been the summer of 2018 was when I got it. And I got it off an app called Discogs. So I was searching. There was no listings anywhere. Was finally able to pick it up on Discogs for a person that really did treat me very good. And it was so worth it. So happy that came in, and unfortunately a little bit bummed about the seam splits, but that stuff can always just be repaired or replaced with other sleeves. But to me, just having it is amazing, and it sounds really good. All right. To round out the last couple of things, to get to know me a little bit about my collection. So this actually takes me way back to my very first vinyl ever. So I was in college. That's when I first started this hobby of vinyl collecting and just enjoying amazing music on a good sound system. So it was actually a local record store that we started to kind of frequent. I didn't have anything to play it, but I was like, this is so cool to be around. Even the smell, I don't know, it's something. It's just an experience to go to a record store. So we got to know him, and we were doing a podcast at the time. We're still doing it, Young Nostalgia Podcast. You can find us out there. We talk about retro pop culture and how being younger people, how we relate to that. But anyway, he was our first ever guest on the podcast, and he ran this record store just down the street. So obviously we were visiting him, talking to him, getting to know him more, and I was like, you know what, I need to bite the bullet. Got a record player, and this was my first ever record I ever owned myself, and I bought from him, which is none other, than Billy Joel, An Innocent Man. This sound, just Billy Joel's sound, he kind of did more of a doo-wop kind of a theme, a lot different than what his older stuff was before this. But this has just a significant impact for me because I love Billy Joel, for one. And for two, it was my first ever record. Sounds great and it's amazing. Unfortunately, there's a skip on Uptown Girl, which is a great song. So I ended up buying a 45 with Uptown Girl on it. So it's like, you know what? It evens out. But anyway, I have listened to this countless times and I love it. I love it, love it. And one thing I really like about it as well, and just kind of with these older kind of vinyl records, is that the sleeve for the record actually has all the lyrics. And so that's something I really enjoyed because obviously I knew a lot of the songs already, but it was always fun to sit there in a nice comfy chair, jamming out to some Billy Joel, reading along with the lyrics and kind of just getting into the music, feeling the music for and listening to the music for how it was meant to be listened to. So I have a huge connection to this album. And if I ever just want to jam out, starting a day by myself in the house, usually Billy Joel, Innocent Man, is the first one to be spinning up. You remember chilling at your friend's barn in the summer back in high school, listening to Dad's records. I know, isn't that awesome? And I always remember, I remember as a kid, we would get out all of my parents' records and I'd ask questions. I was like, what is this, Because growing up, we never actually had or listened to, we had a whole bunch of records, but we never really listened to them. It was mainly just CDs at the time because we had 6 CD changers in the car and stuff like that. So yeah, I don't know. It just changed the way I thought about it. Collected my first vinyl, and then there was no looking back. All right. Taking a turn for what I'm listening to nowadays. So when I got the job I have now, I needed to turn to something that kind of kept my mind on the work, but also made me feel happy because unfortunately, what I do is kind of depressing and has taken a toll on me. But anyway, I have found music that helps me quite a bit. So I was just kind of searching, artists recommended by you, by Apple, and then I stumbled upon retro wave and synthwave electronic kind of music. And there was one artist that stuck out to me so much. This is just an artist that you can tell puts a lot of time and thought into the music, the beats, the timing, and they're small. I really appreciated that where this is what they do for a living because they love it so much, even though it might not get them to the highest ranks of music ever. So if you can please do me a favor, do yourself a favor, check out a band an artist called Allison. It's A period, L period, and then, with a period in between. But these guys have great sounds, great music, and great stuff to chill to, play amazing Slay the Spire to. It's great music to just unwind and enjoy a chill, amazing night in. Absolutely. And so when I found out that they pressed this on vinyl, I had to pick it up as soon as possible. Check out Allison. They release music quite often. And he's a French artist, but he's so good. Follow him on Twitter. You will not be disappointed. I've played some of the music here on the stream in the We'll Be Right Back or stream starting soon. So definitely check them out. All right. Last but not least, I know when I first started streaming about a month ago, I talked these guys up quite a bit. And they are by far my favorite band ever. So I feel like there's a big connection when you start to follow a band, right? Well, they've been around for a while. People have started, they started making a name for themselves. Maybe not as big over here in the States, but anyway. So my little and my fraternity got me onto these guys. The 1975, back in 2016, when their second album released. And I've been following them ever since, but it's crazy the kind of connection you feel when you're with a band wholeheartedly and then they release music, where you're there from one album to the next. You see how they change. You see how they form their thoughts, their opinions, how they integrate that into music. And so their latest album, Notes on a Conditional Form, has spoken to me so much ever since the first day I ever came across it and started listening to it and they released songs. It has spoken to me so much. It has, helped me understand myself emotionally and all this other stuff. I don't know. It was the most perfect quarantine album when the world was looking very bleak. And they don't stay in one place very long, which is amazing. There are so many different genres, so much different perspectives in this album that just make it, make the world make sense, I guess. I don't know what to say. But it's amazing. Their music is great. They're my favorite band ever. We saw them live last May. Had to like general seating tickets to get front row to see them in May of this year, a week after Michelle and I were supposed to get married. And everything went down, so they canceled the show. We canceled our wedding, or postponed our wedding, so we didn't actually get the opportunity to do that, because seeing them would have been our first concert as a married couple, and it would have been kind of a honeymoon, pre-honeymoon. So unfortunately it didn't work out, but these guys are amazing, and please give them a listen. They're so good. They're a British indie rock band, but the one thing I really appreciate about them too is that they practice what they preach. They're all about preservation, conservation. So everything here is made of recycled vinyl plastic, printed. It didn't come shrink wrapped at all. Everything is recycled paper and cardboard. It's all made of that. Notes on a conditional form. There's no inner sleeves for these things, and it's on very bright yellow, because that's kind of what their branding was at the time. But definitely check these guys out. Notes on a conditional form. Such good music. I can't stop watching the cat's shadow. I know. That's Onyx. That's our black youngest cat. She is licking herself the entire time. She usually likes to chill up there. Absolutely, Blink. The connection is unreal. It's nuts. I really appreciate that. And it's the same kind of connection of nostalgia that you get with video games. I feel like you have that connection with the music. It just brings back all the feels. Anyway, that was my last thing I wanted to share with you. But let me know, give me a shout out. Follow me on Twitter. Follow me on Instagram. Let me know your passions, your collections, your hobbies, and the meaning behind them. Or just let me know what collection hobbies that you have. And then I would love to talk further about it. You can find me in my tweets at the top of my channel. I have a link called My Tweets, and then you can also find it in the About Me page on my Twitch channel, as well as my YouTube. I'll probably be updating this to YouTube as well. So trying to expand out there, maybe make separate YouTube videos. But let me know. Let me know what you like to collect. What connections do you have? What was the first ever collection, if you have vinyls? Or what was the first thing you ever remember collecting personally that you enjoyed? So anyway, I appreciate you guys so much. That's it for me on a wonderful Wednesday. I really appreciate it.